Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I heard that the Lakers are interested in Kenneth Lofton Jr. As am I, as I've been for years. As I told everybody, if you follow me, you already know what I think of Kenny Lofton Jr. Now, I'm not sure what he is defensively, and I do believe he should probably get on some type of a nutrition program, try to get himself in the type of shape that I think would be best for an athlete. We don't want him going down the path of continuing to think it's okay to not take the best care of his body, not only for basketball but off the court too. You just don't. In 2024, we're coming into it. Ain't no room to be eating bad and thinking that it's just okay to not try to take care of yourself, especially if you're going to be an athlete. So that's what's important, is him getting into a space where he can get away from the buffet line and into the gym, eating better, slimming down, putting muscle on his body, and continuing to use what God gave him, which is a lot of basketball talent on the offensive end. Now, defensively, I don't know what he can do. Maybe not. Nothing. I don't know. But now that I've seen Christian Wood, the vibe that I have about Kenneth Lofton is kind of the same vibe I had about Christian Wood when Christian Wood first got started with Detroit. When I started seeing him really break out, you get super excited about a player, but there's two sides of the ball, and I just don't know if Kenny does anything there. But on the offensive side, he's already proven. I don't need to see too much, man. God shows me he can go for 45, 50 points. You know what I mean? Barreling past people, shooting threes at like 300 pounds. Yeah, that's somebody I want on my team. Especially given the fact that we have so much trouble with our center position. It stands to reason why we would want a guy like Kenny on the team. So for me, as a Laker fan, hearing that the Lakers are interested in Kenneth Lofton is everything I want us to be. Everything. You know? And look, I'm not really all that mad at Jackson Hayes. I want people to understand something. I think Jackson Hayes is a good scoring center in the paint. If you want to give him like 7-8 lobs, he's going to score all the time. The gift that he has is high field goal percentage gift. The question is, does that fill a need that the Lakers have? And him being great dunking the ball, but not a threat from the perimeter or the mid-range, is that really a skill set for the NBA today? Probably not. But if you send him to China, he can average 30 points just getting lobs and dunking the ball over people that are smaller than him. So he's a high efficiency interior scorer. And if we could find a way to harness that, maybe get him a pass first point guard to play with in most of his sets that is looking to feed him, you're going to get the most out of that kid. But as long as we're asking him to be a defensive center, try to ask him to do more than pick and roll to the basket, I don't think we're going to be happy with him. I really don't. I think the problem with him is we just haven't figured out what he's really good at. But when a guy barely misses at the rim, like literally barely misses, that's what the hell we need to be doing for him. That's what we need him for. So that's what I want to say. I don't think we've figured out how to use all the players that we have, man. I don't think so. I think we need guys to do certain things, and they can't do those things. But that don't mean that they didn't get into the league doing something else. Find out what that is and get them to do that. Tell yourself you can use that and do. That's what I want Darvin to do. I'm not asking that guy, Jackson Hayes, to do anything but score in the paint, dunk the ball a lot, catch lobs above the rim. That's really all you should ever ask him to do, man. Everything else is useless. Asking him to be Anthony Davis replacement, or think he's going to have the timing that AD has or the ability not to foul. First of all, for a guy like that, I don't care that he gets in foul trouble, because I don't care if he gets fouled out. The only problem I have with him getting into foul trouble is the same problem I have with anybody getting in foul trouble. Team fouls and free throws going the other way. He needs to discipline himself for that. But as far as me taking him out of the game when he's in quote-unquote in foul trouble, I'm not going to. I'll leave him out there with 4 fouls in the third quarter. Why? Because I don't give a damn if he gets fouled out. He only has one functionality. And that's to give us time for AD and other centers to sit down. So he's going to play regardless of how many fouls he has. So I think that's how I would approach it. Other players, you play the foul trouble rules game. With a guy like that, you just leave him out there. He got 5 fouls, so if he gets fouled out, so what? But because we have so many needs from the center position, we can't necessarily afford to do that. But just the same, if you do that, you're pulling him off the floor to not be that center. So it's like Jackson Hayes just needs somebody to step in front of him. And then he needs his gift to be harnessed instead of being asked to do things that other people would do. That's what needs to happen there. It's exactly what needs to happen there. And so, yeah, I don't know that Kenneth Lawson is going to help us with what we need, or is he going to be another one of those where we're going to ask him to do stuff that he should not be asked to do. That's my only concern. It's not him. It's our needs that concern me. Because I feel the same way about Christian Wood. Fantastic offensive center. Maybe his three-point shot isn't falling right now, but historically he's a very good three-point shooter. All you really need him to do is to be able to catch his spots, catch the ball in his spots in rhythm. A lot of times when we have centers, they don't really have a touch for the ball around the rim. They're not really good at mid-range shooting. They're not really, sometimes you get bricks out of these guys. Christian Wood is a guy where if you play him every night, 20 minutes a game, 10 to 12 straight games, regardless of what foul trouble or defensive mistakes he makes, and be intentional on getting him the ball in his spots, he's going to be an efficient center by game 8, by game 9. But it's the inconsistency coupled with asking him to do stuff that he shouldn't be asked to do that ultimately puts you in a position to not be pleased with him. He is who he is regardless. And if you take advantage of that and give him consistent offensive looks, his best offense is his defense. He's gonna wear out the guy who's guarding him, and that person ain't gonna have as much on the offensive end to do to him. Not only that, but even though he's awkward defensively, you find him getting more stops than you would expect from a bad defensive center. Leave him out there. He's gonna leave you with so many good defensive plays that come from awkward, poor time defensive efforts because he's long and he's tall. And like I said, if he's utilized correctly, he's going to wear out the other guy and he's going to rebound better over him. So I just think at this point, we're just asking Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes to not do what it is that they're actually in the NBA to do. And as a result, we're not getting from them what it is that we'd otherwise want from them because they're not who we want them to be. I don't mean you get rid of them. It doesn't mean that at all. What we need is center depth, not to replace the few centers we have and replace them with guys who are going to play more defense and no offense. A guy like Bismack Biyombo, who's with the Memphis Grizzlies, but a guy that other people want, he can't score worth a damn. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't want him on the team because he's not going to help me in that way. Or I'm hearing conversations about bringing in Drummond. Well, Drummond is going to be the same way as Christian Wood and Jackson Hayes because he does more on the offensive end. Not to mention he turns the ball over more than both of those guys. He's going to require more minutes than both of those guys. You're going to need to do more for Drummond to make his piece make sense. I don't really find myself excited about Drummond because Drummond is somebody we already had and we didn't really love him on the team when we had him. So that was my concern with Drummond. It's one of those situations where, if anything, I'm just asking Andre Drummond to take a lesser role, play better defense, and in doing so, be pleased with that. He ain't going to be pleased with that. What he is going to be frustrated with that and want to get out of LA once again, for which didn't he leave already? Didn't we already lose him once? I don't remember exactly how that went, but he wasn't exactly killing it when he was here. So it's like, do I really want to bring people here who've already left? Do I really want to bring people here who we didn't really use the best when we had them? No, man, let's go on a different route. Find yourself a center that you can have interchangeable with Christian Wood, with Jackson Hayes. That's a little better than those guys that do a little more of what you need them to do, which is block shots, rebound the ball, and be a little more defensive. That way, when Jackson Hayes get in foul trouble, when Christian Wood get in foul trouble, you don't have as many problems because you still got another center that you can throw on top of. Now, a lot of people want that player to be Castleton. Castleton's a bit underdeveloped right now, even though he's a bit older than most of these rookies. He's underdeveloped at the moment, so you're not going to get from him what you expect in theory. Plus, he's not very big, man. He's not going to be able to defend some of these dudes that you're going to want to throw him on. You're going to find yourself frustrated. So for me, it's like he's just more of the same. Granted, you could throw him in there, but his functionality is to catch the ball off the rim and dribble it like Lamar Odom down the path to create fast break points for guards and forwards. That's a very unique skill set for a 7-foot center, and it's not the one that you necessarily need for what it is that you're asking him to be. That doesn't mean I don't want him on the team. In fact, I definitely want him on the team. But I already know that if I'm going to ask him to do things that AD did, that's not his functionality. He has a very unique skill set. He's a point center, basically. And we don't even know that because we haven't figured out how to utilize him properly. And that's why I need a coach that and I don't want to get rid of Darvin Ham off the whim of what it is I'm talking about. But I just need one of our assistant coaches to kind of be really, really intent on identifying what guys' strengths are and then creating rotations that utilize those strengths. And then we can go to our Castleton rotation, where you get him on the floor with guys that can run the wing, catch and shoot guys, and leave him as the only center who's trying to pull the ball off the rim. He runs, gets them the ball, give and go, pass it, they take it off the dribble, get it back to him, let him score in the paint. Maybe he bricks, he gets his own board. You know what I mean? That's how his functionality is. Maybe somebody else shoots the ball, he gets the offensive rebound, passes it out once again, or turns around and lays the ball up, gets to the line. Like, that's who Castleton is. But most importantly, you got to utilize his defensive rebounding strength, or you have a player out there you asking to do stuff that ain't his game. So it's just a lot of stuff that I've identified in regards to these players, and I'm waiting for our coach to be able to utilize, but he's too busy trying to get guys to fit into a system as opposed to creating the system around what the guys can do. Jackson Hayes, catch lobs, dunk in the paint. I'm dumping him the ball inside 8 feet every time, lobbing him the ball. Let him turn around and score it. He's going to make it. The boy walk away with 20 points in the first half if you just spam him the ball, because that's really all he does. Not that great of a rebounder, definitely not a defensive player, certainly can't shoot the ball. So what does he do? That's what he does. He's a scorer in the paint. It's kind of difficult to utilize him properly because of it. But that's what you want him to do. And then you utilize him in the fast break, because that boy is one of the most athletic centers in all of basketball. That's what gets lost in all this. He can jump higher than most people, 7 feet, period, in this world. So you get him as many high-level lobs as possible. You have him rebounding over people that don't have that strength. You got a center on the floor that's comparable in size but can't barely jump off the floor. I'm putting Hayes on the floor to jump over that dude and get every offensive and defensive rebound over him. That's it. And then there's D'Moi Hodge, who has one of my very favorite skill sets. Steal the ball from you, catch and shoot. Steal the ball from you, catch and shoot. I love that skill set because he's going to help me in situations that make my rhythm better. He's a rhythm player, and if you get him the ball in his spots, he's going to be streaky. And then he's going to sneak around and take the ball from somebody else. That's why I like Cason Wallace so much. That's exactly why I'm such a big Cason Wallace fan of the OKC Thunder, and I hate that he was drafted there. But he's a much better version of that type of prototype, to where he's going to be on your guy. Your guy's going to be dribbling in front of him. He's going to take that ball from that dude. He's going to speed past him, and he's going to make something happen. He's a high-level point guard already. And if he were given an opportunity, he would take off. And I don't think D'Moi Hodge is too far behind him, a much lesser version of that. But that's exactly what D'Moi does, man. He finds a way to get the ball out of the other team's hands and then finds a way to make an assist out of the guy who's passing him the ball. So it's like these are things we got to utilize, Alex Fudge, phenomenal athlete. He can jump out the gym. He dunks on anybody in the G League. He's just got to learn the game. We got to figure out what else he can do. But he's just a phenomenal athlete with a lot of length, man. Probably going to turn into a small forward that could probably block some shots and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, I already know what our G League guys can do. And I told y'all, didn't I tell you about Scottie Pippen? You see what the numbers he's putting up in the G League now? Then he have like a 40-point game in the G League. I told y'all, do not listen to people who tell you that Scottie's too small. It's the same thing I'm going to tell y'all about Bronny James. Do not listen to these people. Why? Because you got to pay attention to the genetics first. That's Scottie Pippen's son. That's LeBron James' son. They're going to be able to do stuff, fam. Period. Second, they're going to play bigger than they are because of that. Because of those genetics, they're going to play bigger than they are. Bronny James jumps off the ground. He has more hops than his father, fam. He's just shorter. But he literally has more hops than LeBron James, which I don't even know is even possible. But he really does. So for those who are looking at him playing 10 minutes at USC and saying he's not going to be a pro, you're not paying attention. You're not paying attention close enough. You better come back to me when he gets into the pros or gets into the G League and is getting regular rotational minutes. Then come back and tell me who Bronny James is. And it's the same thing I'm telling you about Scottie Pippen Jr. Pay attention when they really getting minutes, man. Scottie Pippen Jr. has gifts on both sides of the floor. He's not a shooter, but he's going to steal the ball from you, hustle plays. He's going to play tough, physical. And then on the other side, he's driving at the rim. He's getting to the line. He's driving. I've done a lot of homework on that kid 2 years ago when we first were going to pick him up. He's driving, fam. He's going to put teams in foul trouble just with the inertia he's putting on the rim. And then his mid-range games opens up from that. His three-point game opens up from that. Sort of like Josh Hart as it pertains to the three-point game. Never be consistent, probably never shoot over 34%. But that's still solid when you consider what he's making up for on the defensive end and what he's able to do driving at the rim. Scottie Pippen is a real player, man. And so is Bronny James. These are things I'm already telling y'all, man. Do not listen to these people who don't know how to assess basketball properly, because they don't really know what they're looking for in a lot of cases. They get frustrated with players because they haven't identified what those players do well. They don't know. They just looking to see what they do wrong based on what it is they're asking them to do. You ask him to do something he ain't going to do well. It's like putting Shaq out there and asking him to be a three-point shooter and then getting frustrated and never playing him no minutes when he don't do it. Sorry, fam. That's not his fault. You never identified what the hell he was good at. If you ask him to do what it is he's good at, guess what you're going to get out of him? Fantastic play. I don't have that problem as I assess basketball players. Not at all. Give me a chance to get a look at what guys can do, and I'll tell you exactly what they can do. And then I'll tell you what rotations you need to put them in, if I know what I'm talking about. That's in theory, because I'm not that guy, but that's what it should be, that you should cater your rotations around the strengths of certain players. And it takes a great deal of creativity and intellect to be able to do that. And some run-of-the-mill coach ain't going to be able to do that. It's going to take a whole team of people figuring that out. And it takes time. This is what we were talking about in regards to LeBron James saying that this team wasn't constructed for three missing point guards, three missing starters. It's because we didn't know these other guys at all. It ain't got nothing to do with us not having the bodies or the talent. It's about not being able to identify the talent, thus what rotations will be best for that talent. You need these guys to be able to do what they're good at, and you need other guys to be able to mask their weaknesses. If we can't put those combinations on the floor, it don't matter what you got. You can't do nothing with it. And so that's what I'm trying to say. Like, it would be great if we can have everybody be 7 feet with guard skills, 7 feet 260 with guard skills, the whole team. That'd be great. But that's not real. You gotta identify what guys can and cannot do, and then make it make sense. And that's not something everyone can do. So I think Darvin is a good coach for what it is you need him to do. I think it's the same type of thing. Like, when I look at Darvin Ham instills confidence in certain players. They can run through a wall for him. Good people person. Make you feel confident. Communicate with you. But he doesn't use centers very well. He doesn't. Now, granted, Anthony Davis, you may look at me and say he's Anthony Davis, but he doesn't utilize them very much. Not getting the most out of Christian Wood. And I wonder how much that has to do with our organization's demands, because I felt the same way about Frank Vogel and Luke Walton. So some of that might not be the players. Some of that might be the organization saying, look, this is what we want. This is how we want things to go. Facilitate our vision. But just the same, I have that problem. It's one of the reasons why I don't want Drummond back in here. We brought Drummond in and didn't get, I guess, the inverted thought. Drummond we utilized more so, ended up doing this with Montrezl Harrell. And I thought Montrezl Harrell was doing a fantastic job with his minutes. A little undersized, but he was good for us. And I just thought we removed him from rotation and weren't better for it. Ended up having a lackluster season. That was before Darvin even got here. So it's like, I think that might be an organizational thing. But at the same time, it's like we got to find a way to utilize centers. We can't underestimate what a center position can do for us just because centers aren't overly skilled in theory, or the best ones that cost so much or whatever. That stuff doesn't matter. The most important thing you want is to make sure that your centers that you're using have enough backups to do what it is that you otherwise know they can't do. Help them when they do get in foul trouble if you're going to be foul trouble eccentric. and then from there put them in a position to be able to identify their strengths and weaknesses and utilize those properly. And that center position in this catch and shoot league, in this spread the floor league, a lot of these centers they don't really know how to utilize, a lot of these coaches rather don't really know how to utilize centers, man. They don't really know how to, because they didn't grow into learning how to be coaches in an era where centers were best utilized. You know what I mean? So it's like, they don't really know what to do with these dudes. But I tell you, the game is still evolving. And at the end of the day, as I always say, basketball is about getting to the highest point before the other guy. Getting there sooner and having more length to get there more so. So it's like, if you don't have the length, or if you're trying to shoot from further away, you're moving backwards. You're just moving backwards. At the end of the day, it was one of the reasons why we won the NBA in-season championship. It's because we scored in the paint. We dumbed it down away from what it is that everybody wants to do, which is shoot the three. And we scored on the inside like the old teams did back in the day. And as a result, team does, built to be in the modern era, got his butt whooped by us because we were playing an old school style. You score in the paint, ignore the damn three ball. Play defense while they're trying to shoot the three ball. You know what I'm saying? They're all about the offensive side of the ball. And if they're going to play defense, they're catered to stop the scoring that comes from the perimeter. We ain't shooting no damn threes. What is that going to do? Now, when we went up against the Dallas Mavericks, you know what ended up happening is they did the inverted thing. They understood we were trying to score in the paint, so they shut that off. They know we don't shoot the three well, so they shot it well. And as a result, they were able to invert what we did against the Pacers, and played us the way the Pacers should have in-game adjusted against us in order to try to win that game. I don't know they have the personnel to do so, by the way, but that's just what you want to be able to do. So here's something that's interesting to me. Draymond Green. Now, Draymond Green is suspended. It was announced today he's going to be out for 3 weeks or more, trying to get his counseling, get his head together. Whatever works. Hopefully that'll be enough for him. A lot of people are saying stay away from Draymond Green, avoid him like the plague. He's making like $26 million a year. He just signed his contract. I don't think $26 million a year is too much for Draymond. Now, do I think his piece is best utilized here? Probably not, because he's not expected to shoot the ball well, even though this year, like LeBron James, he's shooting the three ball at a career level. It's very important to notice that he's shooting better. He's getting back around to his three-point shooting ways, and that is important. Especially if he could shoot the three ball for the team that he's going to next, that'd be very important. But you don't pick him up expecting him to be able to do that. You're just happy if he does. Here's what I'm telling you. I don't think I want Draymond Green on this team, but I will tell you this. Him and Anthony Davis and Jared Vanderbilt would make us an impossible defensive team to stop. That's what I'm here to tell you. And with his passing ability and his passing genius, coupled with Anthony Davis needing the ball all the damn time and having a need for someone to get it to him, I don't think Draymond Green would be the worst pickup for the Lakers. I don't think so. Especially when you consider what he can do for Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving if he goes there. Or what he can do for one of our rivals if Golden State sends him there. You may see a benefit in Draymond Green coming to you, not just so that he can do what he does for you, but so that he doesn't do it for your rivals. He's one of those. Because at the end of the day, for all of his troubles, and he has very, very many, what he does not have, and I'm saying this with a lot of confidence, is stupidity attached to his basketball IQ. No. And when you couple that with LeBron James's basketball IQ, you couple that with Anthony Davis's basketball IQ, you couple that with Vanderbilt's defensive IQ, you couple that with Cam Reddish's defensive IQ. I just don't know who the hell's going to score over 100 points on the Lakers. Who's going to score over 100 points on the Lakers? And we don't need Draymond Green to be the only defensive god on the team because we have about 3 of them. So we're going to be able to utilize him better than maybe Golden State's able to utilize him defensively. So it becomes a situation where you got to ask yourself, Do I want Draymond on this team? Maybe not, for the troubles that he brings to the table. But do I want Draymond Green for him to soup up our defense to be one of the greatest defenses of all time? Maybe. Maybe. It might be something to consider. So these are the things I want Laker fans to give some thought. Give some thought to that. I'm not saying that he's going to help us stretching the floor, because, again, I don't expect him to shoot that well. If he is on this team, I do expect him to shoot under 30% from behind the arc and maybe not even want to attempt those a lot of the time. But he's going to make up for it by being so smart passing the rock. It's sort of like another Bron in some ways, because his passing genius is over the top. So at some point in time, you're going to want his strengths on both sides of the floor on your team and not on your rivals. So that's what I want to say about Draymond Green. I'm not sure I want his contract. I definitely don't want his antics. But when I consider having an enforcer on this team, it can definitely be that. It brings a certain level of toughness to this team that I don't think we have right now. Chemistry-wise, if anybody can get along with him, it's his best friend, Bron. And I think he's pretty close to AD as well. He takes care of the need to keep D'Lo on the team, because D'Lo is somebody you want his team to facilitate. And for all the weaknesses that D'Lo brings to the table, you don't want to be relying upon him to be your facilitator. He would allow us to bring in another point guard that doesn't necessarily pass the rock like that. So you definitely want somebody on your team like Draymond Green to make it so that you're not so reliant upon D'Lo to pass the rock. So it's like, it's a lot of stuff here. I'm like, all right, man. He knows Golden State's system. So if Golden State retools in his stead, he's going to be somebody that you can very much trust is going to be able to get in their head. Those are his people. That's his dynasty. And I can argue they're not going to be able to function without him, so they probably will not move him. But for all of the different things that is being said and for the type of return they can get to get him off the books, given the fact they got Chris Paul's contract on the books, eating up half the damn thing, they could turn somebody into something, and Draymond's more likely to be the one that someone would want rather than Chris Paul. I can also see Chris Paul being bought out, as to which they both end up on the Lakers, which would be a great thing for us. Although I'm not big on Chris Paul, age, we get a lot older, have him on the floor, defensive issues, blah, blah, blah. I'd want Draymond to make up for that. So it's a lot of different things that I'm paying attention to as a Laker fan, and I'm telling you guys, I'm not saying I'm warming up on picking up Draymond Green, because I think that you probably end up losing young players to get him. You definitely don't want that. You end up losing Rui, end up losing Jalen Hood-Schifino, end up losing, I don't know who they would want, but you'd have to lose some guys. In that situation, for me, probably want to stay young. But in the event that we want to win now, which makes a lot of sense for our timeline, I'm not certain that Draymond Green doesn't turn us into an NBA champion. From whatever we are right now to an NBA champion, it might be his piece missing. And if you're going to get rid of Rui Hachimura, you definitely want a big body returning in his stead. Draymond is basically bigger than Rui. Not to say that they do the same things, because they definitely do not. But scoring is not the only thing a person could do offensively. Draymond could rebound, Draymond could pass. And if his shooting continues to be what it is, he can do that too. So it's a lot of stuff to look at in regards to Draymond. I'm telling y'all, it's a lot to look at. Maybe his $26 million, you move D'Lo, you move Rui, you got his money on top of something else. Maybe you make a separate deal to bring yourself another shooter. Maybe get a separate facilitator in place just in case he goes on his antics. You don't want to be too reliant upon his facilitator. But as far as me wanting to be relying upon LeBron James as facilitating, absolutely not. I love LeBron James as a facilitator, but I don't want that to be what we're relying upon. It's no different than Austin Reeves. I love Austin Reeves as a facilitator, but I do not want to rely upon that. No, I need a third and a fourth facilitator that can be in rotation just in case, for whatever reason, those guys are not on the floor, we can still stay upright as a team. Draymond takes care of that. And look, Draymond doesn't get injured very much. So if anything, I'm looking at Draymond Green and I'm saying to all of y'all, if he's on the floor healthy mentally, he's on the floor. Because he's not entirely injury prone. He really ain't. Not overly anyway. No more than Rui, that kind of thing. So it's just a lot to look at. It's a lot to look at. I'm warming up to the understanding that if the Lakers were to make a deal like that, it could be for our betterment, not our worsening. So give it some thought, Lakers. Give it some thought. I don't know what's right for us in regards to that, because at the end of the day, if he brings us those antics, then we're going to hate having him here. That's the problem with bringing in Draymond. If he brings us antics, we're unhappy. But if he brings us all of the good, including his NBA championship experience and his overall synergy with a guy like LeBron James, who's one of his best friends in the league. And that enforcer, tough guy mentality, so that we don't have to ask AD to do anything like that. We don't have to ask Bron to kind of push people around when things go bad. That's the type of thing you want in the playoffs, man. That's exactly the type of thing you want when you go up against Denver and Jokic, and then when you go up against Minnesota Timberwolves, you know they got a complex about Draymond at this point. So it's like, I may want Dray on the team. All in all, I may, as a Laker fan, when you break down what he brings to the table, and you couple that with his contract, which ain't overly crazy for a Hall of Famer, 33 years of age. The only real problem I have with him is if he's going to shoot poorly from behind the arc, and he hasn't been this season. Put it like this. Maybe I can make a better argument for a super athlete like Zach LaVine. Maybe I can make a better argument for that type of piece. Because at the end of the day, if I'm bringing in that type of guy, then obviously I'm going to be able to do more of the scoring load. But Draymond's not going to really help with scoring. He will make other guys better scorers by getting the ball in their spots. But he's not a scorer per se. But Zach LaVine ain't going to do as many things for you, and he definitely ain't going to help you on the defensive side of the ball. Zach LaVine, just like we said about those centers, are better defensively for their offense, wearing other people down on the defensive end, that kind of thing. You're not going to really play defense. He ain't locking nobody up. If he pops up with a steal or something like that, you're pleased with that, but you're not counting on it. I want a two-way guy, and while you can argue that Draymond is not a two-way guy, as we already said, there's more to the offensive side of the ball than scoring. And if he's getting offensive rebounds, if he's making plays for others, if he's hitting his own shots, if he's getting in the head of the defensive player, setting good picks for which he's going to do, all of these different things, taking a load off of AD and things like that. I can't argue against picking him up. It makes more sense to have him than not. Especially if he's going to end up on Dallas. Especially if Denver going to try to pick him up. You don't want him going to one of them rivals, man. So that's my thing. The Lakers better consider the pros and cons of what it is that can happen, especially if you add additional shooter to bringing him in. And I know the Golden State Warriors are high on Jonathan Kuminga, and he's itching for an opportunity to show that he can start. I don't know that I love Jonathan Kuminga's game as much as most people do, but what I can say is he's ready to make a name for himself starting the basketball club. So hopefully, with that being said, they will be willing to move him. Not Kuminga, but Draymond. And in the event he does get moved, my hope is that he goes east. East, man. Do not send him to the Kings. Do not send him to OKC. Don't send him to Denver. Don't send him to the Clippers. None of these rivals that the Lakers are going to have to deal with. You do not want Draymond on any of those damn teams, man. And neither does the Golden State Warriors, including us. They do not want him on the Western Conference team. So these are things that I'm thinking about. So yeah, man, I think I made a good case for Dre. I think I made a good case for him, and as long as he's able to shoot the three ball when he gets back the same way he was before he got suspended, might not be the worst thing in the world to bring him in, man. Might not be the worst thing in the world. I can definitely make a case for not, based on the antics, based on his shooting issues in the past. But I don't know. I think I got more of a case for why you should bring him in than not, to be honest with you. It's a better case. And like I said, your defense goes crazy when you put him, Anthony Davis, and Vanderbilt on the same floor. You have one of the best defenses of all times right there. Of all damn time. I kid you not. So that's what I'm considering right now, man. And the one thing that we cannot forget, if you're going to move D'Lo and you're not going to bring in that secondary facilitator, you are going to need somebody to get him the ball, man. You're going to need somebody to get AD the ball. That's one of the main cases. Because Bron, I don't want to be my facilitator. I want him focused on doing whatever he wants to do, not necessarily whatever it is I need him to do. You know what I mean? Let him kind of freelance. If he wants to pass now, let him pass now. If he wants to shoot now, let him shoot now. You don't want to stranglehold a player like LeBron James. You don't want him to be your only facilitator to get AD the ball. You don't want that. You don't want that. Austin Reeves, kind of the same thing, to be honest with you. Especially when you consider Austin's one of your better shooters. You don't want him stranglehold to say, yo, come down thinking AD ball first. No, I don't need that. So if you're going to move D'Lo, who does that naturally, who's always looking to get AD the ball, you had better bring in a facilitator, man. And that facilitator may not necessarily be a point guard. May not necessarily be a point guard. So these are things that we're considering, man. This is what we're thinking about. So, yeah, you guys, I mean, as a Laker fan, I want us to get to an over-the-top spot in regards to getting us a championship opportunity. Right now, I think we are relying upon too many young players, man. We got too many guys who are young and underdeveloped relying upon one another. It's just too many. And one guy goes down and your team falls off a great deal, even though you have talented teammates around. Coach don't know how to utilize them properly, all that other stuff. This makes you a worse basketball team, man. So we'd be better trying to turn maybe Rui and somebody else into somebody who's a bit more equipped to be a champion, who already knows what it takes to win, who can play defense, who can get other people involved offensively, can get offensive rebounds, defensive rebounds, be an enforcer. He checks so many boxes. It's not even funny how many boxes that dude checks. So, I don't know, man. I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you can use $26 million a year, I'll tell you that. And if he's going to be getting himself kicked out of games, getting himself thrown out of championship games, stuff like that, I'll regret everything I just said, man. And there's a very good argument for not bringing him in based on all that crap. So, I hear both arguments. But I wanted to make a very clear argument for bringing him in because I see it in my head. It's a dangerous thing when you put Draymond Green, Anthony Davis, and Vanderbilt on the floor at the same time. It's a very dangerous thing. Very dangerous thing. I don't care what nobody says. You can punt the 3 ball if your defense is that damn stifling. If it's that damn stifling, the score gonna be 77 to whatever the hell you score, because the other team ain't scoring more than that. That's just too much defensive intelligence, man. I'm telling you. Anthony Davis and Anthony Davis and Draymond Green alone is too much. It's way too much. That's too much defensive intellect. That's way too much length. Too many good screen setters on the other side. Too much good rebounding. Too much physicality. And then they play off one another. I'm telling you. So it's a lot to look at, man. Spacing could be funny. You got a bunch of non-shooters in the lineup. It could be some funny spacing. The Pistons are punting spacing, and we see how bad of a team they are right now. That's exactly what they've done here. They are punting spacing, and they can't win a basketball game to save their lives. So I think they're playing right now. If not, they'll be playing in a couple hours. I'm pretty damn sure they're gonna lose because that's how real it is. But that's not the problem the Lakers are gonna have if they do this correctly. So yeah, that's what I want to say, man. I heard an argument about if Joe Harris gets bought out, maybe you bring him in from the Pistons, ironically enough. I can use the shooting, but when he checks in, am I going to be happy with him checking in at any given point for anything other than shooting? Probably not. Is Darvin Ham going to overuse him? Yes, probably. It's the same reason why I want us to get rid of Vanderbilt soon. Not Vanderbilt, but Vincent, the other guy. Don't even start that process. Why? Because Gabe Vincent is 6'2", and just like anybody else under 6'4", Darvin Ham is going to have it in his mind to play this dude all the minutes of the game. We saw it last year with every short player we had. He just want to keep him on the floor all game long, whether it makes sense or not, punting, rebounding, punting all types of different stuff that doesn't make any sense. That's my concern. It's not Gabe Vincent, it's how he's going to be utilized. Is Coach going to overuse this guy and not play Max Christie? Not play some of the other guards, kind of scale back on Cam? I don't need none of that. As a Laker fan, I do not want to see any of that on the floor. So that's my concern. It's not Gabe Vincent as a player. It's what Darvin Ham is prone to do with Gabe Vincent on the floor. That's my problem. That is my only problem there. And so for me, I'm already jumping ahead of this. Before Gabe even gets on the floor, I already seen in the preseason how he wanted to use this man. That's my problem. Kept him on the floor for 35 and 40 minutes. Nah, bro. No. Gabe Vincent is a guy utilized 22, 25 minutes a game in certain situations with tall players next to him, so he's the only short player on the floor. Our GM did a fantastic job of making sure everybody on the team was over 6'5" so that we didn't have this problem. But Darvin has identified one guy who's 6'2", and he's going to utilize him to death, I promise you. You would rather him move on before he even has an opportunity to do it. I kid you not. We've already seen this with multiple players. Multiple players. Y'all remember Russell Westbrook? Patrick Beverly? What's old boy over there, Malik Beasley? We've seen this movie. We know what this looks like. He gonna put them all on the floor at the same time, bro, and we gonna suck to high hell. Gabe Vincent gives him that dynamic. And for whatever reason in his head, that's like the player to play the most minutes. See what happens. When Gabe Vincent get back, just mark where I'm speaking this. But the 40-minute mark of this video, remember I said it. You don't get that man all the minutes. It's just what he does. And as a result, you end up having issues because of it. I don't want to go down that route. That's why I'm on board with moving Gabe Vincent before this even happens. Before it even gets started, let's move Gabe Vincent. Do it now. Do it now while people still remember him as the Miami Gabe Vincent. Because you could say he's a great defensive player. Problem is he's 6'2", bro. Everybody he going to be guarding is taller than that. So you're going to have offensive rebounding issues, defensive rebounding issues, and all different types of other things that come with playing short players too much. Just being honest. I already know what's coming. So that's why I'm like, nah, bro. Nah, bro. Don't even want to go down the road. So yeah, man, I feel pretty good about this Laker video. Hope you guys do as well. Just felt like getting into my Laker vibe, walking down Hollywood Boulevard. Of course, the Lakers play the New York Knicks tonight, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. We'll be ready for the Knicks. We were hoping Gabe Vincent would be ready for the Knicks, but nah, still got to wait that out. So it is what it is, man. But, you know, I think what we have now is a rotation of guards that you want to see get more minutes, not less. Max Christie needs his minutes to continue to develop. Austin Reeves obviously needs his minutes because he's stepping into his own. Cam Reddish is going to need his minutes because he's stepping into his own. So if you're going to bring Gabe Vincent back, he's going to be taking minutes away from all three of those guys in theory. And that's a bad theory. I don't like that theory. That's a theory I don't want to have nothing to do with. You see what I'm saying? Let's nip that in the bud early. And for those who are saying Gabe Vincent is a point guard, only because he's short, not by game. Not by game. He's a shooting guard. And that's what he is. He's not somebody who's going to be particularly facilitating the basketball to anybody. I think, I don't know who I was listening to, but what they were telling us is exactly what I agree with. That Gabe Vincent is essentially going to be somebody like Avery Bradley. Mid-range jump shooter, three-point jump shooter, otherwise more or less defensive player, but only going to help you in certain defensive situations depending on how tall or how strong the other players are. He's going to be streaky. Gabe Vincent can play well, he can shoot well, but in the finals, he had a bad final series against the Nuggets. So it's like, I believe Gabe Vincent is a fantastic system player. That system is heat culture. You bring it into the Lakers and you're going to be asking him to do things that probably don't fit who he is. And as a result, you're going to be unhappy with him. And then from there, you're going to want to move him. Jump ahead of that, Lakers. Jump ahead of that. Don't even go down that route. Trade him now. Trade him now. While the last time you seen him, he was in a Heat jersey. In the finals. And helping a Heat team, more or less, as a main rotational player. Not taking away minutes from players that you want to continue to develop. Because he's not actually a point guard for what you ultimately need him to be. And if you ask him to be a de facto point guard, you'd likely be best to put him next to somebody who doesn't do the things that he does. Probably more so next to Austin Reeves more than anybody else. Or put him next to Max Christie. Obviously, I want Cam Reddish on the floor with a lot of people, but Austin's going to facilitate. You know, that's my thing. Austin's going to be able to get the ball to him in his spot. You put him on the floor with the worst passer in the world, Max Christie, and you're going to have a nightmare trying to get cohesiveness out of that offense. And I'm telling you, I like Max Christie a lot. I'm not interested in trading him just because I just said that. Absolutely not. I like Max Christie. I don't need Max Christie to be a gifted passer. He's a fantastic perimeter defensive player, fast on his feet, good balance on defense. On the offensive end, his jump shots coming along. What is he, only 21 years old or something like that? He just has a very severe weakness, and that weakness is passing. It's bad. It's just damn bad. But I can utilize him. I mean, I don't need him to be an amazing passer, and by the time he's 25, 26 years old, he will be. So that's what I'm telling all of y'all. Not really worried about that. That doesn't make me want to get rid of Max at all. I just know when he gets the ball in his hands, I'm going to cringe if he's looking to make a play for somebody else. And a couple games ago, he made a very good play for somebody else. He had an excellent bounce pass to whoever that was. I think it was Anthony Davis, something like that, in transition. So his game is going to grow in that area, but he's got a severe weakness, and it is making passes for others. He's not selfish. He just sucks at it when he does try. It just is what it is. I used to say the same thing in a different way about different players. Like Rick Fox. I thought Rick Fox couldn't dribble to save his life. I had better handles than Rick Fox, in my opinion. I really did. But I could utilize Rick Fox in every other way because Rick Fox is going to play great defense, hit big three-point shots, be an enforcer like I'm asking you guys to consider Draymond in that way. So I like Rick Fox's game. He just, when he had the ball in his hands, I was worried someone was going to take it from him because his handle was so not good. You know what I'm saying? That don't mean I couldn't use him. So that's kind of how I look at Max Christie. As long as he's looking to do things for himself and defensively trying to help us in that way, I'm cool. I like what Max brings to the table. Once you start asking him to be a point guard passing everybody else, and you start seeing how errant those passes are on a consistent basis. And as a passer mindset that I have, like a point guard mindset, I know when a guy can't pass with a damn. And that's the only thing Max really is not very good at. Everything else, he's really good at. Everything else he's really good at, man. Rebounds especially, I like his offensive rebound and defensive rebounding prowess. His athleticism is underrated. He's a much better athlete than most people think. So, yeah, keep Max. I don't want to get rid of Max. I just don't want to turn him into a de facto point guard, and I definitely don't want him next to somebody like Gabe Vincent, who will need him to be in order for the team to play cohesive basketball. So these are things I'm considering, man. I want people to consider that. And, you know, Detroit. I don't know what Detroit will want to do. I don't know that they will want to hold on to some of these pieces because they do have issues with cohesiveness in regards to spacing the floor. Detroit is terrible at that. If for some reason Ausar Thompson becomes available, I don't expect that he will, but if for some reason he does, people need to get on top of that player early. Ausar Thompson, if no injuries take place, if nothing weird happens in his career, I do think that dude's going to be a perennial all-star. I really do. He's like Draymond, only more athletic in a different way. But he makes passes, he's defensive, and rebounds the ball at a high clip on his rookie season. He's already showing signs of being extraordinary in certain areas. So I don't think they should move him. In fact, they should move everybody but him and maybe Cade Cunningham. Those would be the only two players left. But if for some reason they get slick and want to do something stupid, like move him, the Lakers need to be on the phone. They need to be on the phone. Get the Thompson twins. In fact, get both of them. Before them boys retire, I want both of the Thompson twins. I'm telling you that right now. I want them both. Just like, what's the name? The Ball dad, what's the name? LeVar Ball used to say, put all his sons together, you get the best out of them. I definitely think that about the Thompson twins. You put them both on the same team, you're going to get the best out of them. I don't care about spacing. Because they both two of the greatest athletes out there, two of the best rebounders out there, two of the best defensive players out there. You put the shooters next to them. Let the other three players be shooters, and they both going to get them the ball. That's what you get out of those two. Triple-double threat. No three-point shots attempted. That's who they are. Like Draymond. But with athleticism. So I'm telling y'all, man, these type of things I'm looking at, I'm like, yo, also, I don't think we can win the Lauri Markkanen sweepstakes. But I do think the Lakers should be interested in Lauri Markkanen if for some reason he does become available. You definitely want Lauri Markkanen on your team. Three-point shooter, can play multiple positions. Not the greatest defensive player, but is long, can rebound the ball. These are the type of players you want on your team at all times. So if the Lakers can get those type of players, I guarantee you, it'll take you to another elevated space. So if we can't get Draymond, and for some reason we are able to get a guy like Lauri, get him on the team, you definitely won't be upset that you did. All-Star last year, probably make a couple more All-Star teams before he retires so he doesn't get any injury issues. So these type of things we're thinking about, man. Definitely thinking about that. As a Laker fan, you want to upgrade your team. If you're going to make any moves at all, you want to upgrade. If you don't make any moves, you know you have depth, but you're going to have to wait on some of those players, and it probably does make you not a championship team this year. Now, if everybody comes back the same way next year, Max Christie more experience, Jalen Hood-Schifino becomes part of the rotation, Cam Reddish gets 1 year under his belt as a Laker, all these different things. Yeah, you could probably find yourself winning the championship next year. Problem is, with LeBron in year 21, how long do you think he's going to play at this level? How long do you think AD is going to stay healthy? Are you going to get, you know what I mean? These are the type of things you can't rely upon with your core being as they are. So you really don't have time to wait on what it is you otherwise need to wait on. That's the only problem. So yeah, man, that's what we saying today. That's what it is, Laker fans. I hope you guys are having a great day. Get ready for the New York Knicks here in LA. Obviously, going up against that team. We know half of the building is going to be a Knicks building. We know that, even though we're the Lakers, Knicks fans are always in the house when the Knicks come to town. So we know that. And I don't suspect we will be running into a team lacking in motivation, man. Because you got Juju on that squad, and you also got Josh Hart on that squad. So these are ex-Lakers that are always going to want to play well against their old team. So these are things you better consider, Laker fans. Do not think for 1 second you're going to be lacking in a team coming at you more or less with motivation. It's going to be a lot of intensity coming your way. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.